Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North, fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The sweet, sweet Mariners?
Yep, they are something. All right. Uh, Not talking about the Mariners, just going to stick to one a week, and that is Mariners Monday. We did have mock draft Mondays, but we're doing a mock draft Monday, Wacky Wednesday edition.
Yep.
Lucky you. And before we hop into this mock draft, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy that made all 32 of these picks, and you're going to look at all of them and go, but don't worry, I'll explain it to you. And that's me, your boy, Coach Red. You can find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also, find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, and leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy who's just here so he won't get fined, like
Right.
Marshawn Lynch. And oh boy, is he gonna have some fun time with some names for these
That's
guys.
also true.
If you're looking for a guy like that, you're looking for a guy like Kane.
You can find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, on YouTube at Kane06, TikTok, Kane0624. Probably going to upload a new video because I hit a big time nuke with Harry Ford and MLB The Show. Look
Big
out
nukes
for
with
it.
Harry Ford.
Uh, Also, follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
Bum 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 bum. With the first pick, the Chicago Bears select
Caden Slovis, quarterback out of BYU.
this one was an easy choice in this year's draft. And the reason being is the Bears haven't won a title since former BYU quarterback turned bad boy Jim McMahon was at the helm. So let's just go back to the old well. Caden Slovis, former USC quarterback, bounced around a little bit. He gets his new start as the marquee quarterback in this year's draft. Also, this is not a predictive draft. This is a fun draft, in case you haven't figured it
You
out
know,
already.
uh, I would hammer that if we could bet up here in the great Pacific Northwest. I would hammer that till the cows come home. I'd win so much money
That he wouldn't be selected first overall. You
that
wouldn't
he
win that much
would.
because the odds aren't very high on that. They'd be very
I'm
low because
I'm
he's
saying
probably not getting drafted.
probably not. All right. Uh, we got Washington Commanders up on the clock now. Pick number 2, Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC.
Basically, this is just a tag-along pick with Cliff Kingsbury being with USC last year as an offensive assistant on staff, and now the OC for the Commanders. This one was an easy choice because Caleb Williams just wants to follow Cliffy boy up to Washington.
All right, pick number 3, we have the Patriots on deck, and they're going to select JJ McCarthy out of Michigan. I can see where this is going.
You can. Their best quarterback they've ever had. Where did he go to college?
Gosh, let me just rack the old brain real quick. Michigan.
And you've heard about all of the TB12, mind, body, everything being in alignment. Well, that's what McCarthy does before games. So if you want your next Tom Brady, go get the guy who acts like him the most. And out of this class, the guy that I could find that closely matched Tom Brady just so happened to go to the same school. This was too easy of a pick to make.
That's fair. That's fair. I like it. Pick number 4, Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. They're shaking things up a little bit. They're going to go Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State.
Yep. Much to the chagrin of the Colts, who are really hoping to have a father-son legacy. didn't pan out. So when you think of all of the great Cardinals of all time, you really only think of one guy, and that is Larry Fitzgerald. And this was the closest they're like, we really like Larry Fitzgerald. He was in the league the same time as Marvin Harrison. We might as well go and get his kid and just hope that he performs anywhere close to either of the two. I was also looking for pit wide receivers, but there wasn't really a good option there. So Marvin Harrison Jr. goes number 4 to the Cardinals.
San Diego Chargers are now on the clock. They are going to select Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia.
Yep. Tight end has been a place where the Chargers have done well in the past. Antonio Gates, Hunter Henry, after that. So I wanted to go ahead and go get them another tight end so they could keep the tight end legacy there in not San Diego. Los Angeles now. Start a new one with my boy Brocky Bowers.
That's fair. All right. Pick number 6. The New York Football Giants are going to take Drake May, quarterback, North Carolina.
Get ready for a quarterback battle right here. And whatever road is between Duke and UNC, heated rivals. So this is where, the cream will rise to the top between these two ACC quarterbacks that are hated rivals. They probably hate each other right now. And I would love to see those guys battle it out during camp because I don't think that Danny Nichols is the guy. Old Dookie boy there going up against the Tar Heel, Drake May. We're not talking basketball here. We're talking football, ladies and gents. And get ready for whatever it's called because I don't watch college basketball, so I can't tell you what that rivalry is anymore.
All right. Tennessee Titans are going to select Joe Alt, tackle out of Notre Dame.
When I think of the Tennessee Titans and when they make draft choices, they are just like the most ho hum, just like, oh, that makes sense. So I went with the most ho hum. Huh, that makes sense. Pick for him. They do have a needed tackle. Joe Alt is the top tackle available. He's not the flashiest guy. He's a go about his business guy, just like Skoronsky, who they picked last year, who we mocked to them, because they're fairly easy to pick for. Granted, this thing could change with a new HC, but I went with the most, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Why not do it? Because guess what? Tennessee Titans are boring.
Also true. All right. Pick number 8, Falcons. They are going to select Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback out of Alabama.
Have you
Sorry,
ever heard
sorry.
of Coach Prime, aka Prime Time?
Once or twice.
Yeah, he played a little bit for the Falcons.
Yeah.
Little little Deion Sanders. Guess what? We want prime time back. So we didn't have a prime time, but we have Kool-Aid, which is also a cool name. So cool name defensive backs still finding their roots down in the ATL, and that is Kool-Aid McKinstry's newest home in this mock draft.
Right. Pick number 9, Chicago is back on the clock, pairing up their new quarterback with a wide receiver. They're going to take Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington.
I made everyone a promise, and that Rome Odunze would never be later than the second wide receiver picked. So I'm sticking to my word for all you listeners. No take backs from me. Roma Dunze, I think that this one's actually kind of the closest to very well could happen. And if it does, when you look at Caden Slovis in this instance, having the likes of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen to throw to now, and now go ahead and give them a true outside type number 1 type guy in Rome Odunze, I couldn't pass it up. Plus, I'm never going to pass it up when it comes to Rome Odunze.
It's fair. All right, pick number 10, the Jets. They're going to take Jazon Newton, defensive tackle out of Illinois.
Where I really liked this one was I was looking at this team, trying to find out where I wanted to go. I figured maybe I'll go with a quarterback that can back Aaron Rodgers after he plays 5 plays this year, which is more than the 3 he played last year. So I thought about that. But then I remember how much they love linemen with apostrophes in their name. Do you recall Debrick Shaw Ferguson?
Do.
So Jer apostrophe Zon Newton fits the bill for me in the JETS Jets for pick number 10.
All right, pick number 11. Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. They're gonna go with Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU.
The reason I went with this is similar to why I've picked Michael Penix, because let's keep him in purple, right?
Yeah.
He's already the team colors. Plus, I want a little bit of a throwback. I want a little Dante Culpepper action. I want a little bit of flair. And Culpepper did a lot for the Vikings in the past, even with his legs too. So go ahead and give me an athletic profile. Don't even have to change the colors. We're ready to rock and we are ready to roll. And we are putting Jaden Daniels in Minnesota.
All right, pick number 12. Broncos are on the clock. They're going to select Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon.
Trying to find old Sean Payton is next, Drew Brees, and the big knock on Drew Brees was super accurate, can't push the ball downfield. Well, let me introduce you to Bo Nix, super accurate, can't push the ball downfield. Here's your project. I've actually been seeing this happen in a lot more mock drafts lately, and it is a little baffling. If Denver goes this route in the first round without moving down, there's going to be a mutiny going on in the Mile High City, and
Yeah.
Sean Payton and crew might be getting thrown off the tallest ledge out there that they can find,
Take
getting
him up
back
to the
down to sea
Rockies,
level
dude.
like he was in NOLA.
All right, pick number 13. The Las Vegas Raiders are gonna break the mold here. They are gonna select Isaac Guerendo, running back out of Louisville.
They're not breaking the Raiders mold. What do the Raiders always do? They draft for position of need. No Josh Jacobs on this team anymore. And they love big time athletes. So if you look at the relative athletics score for Isaac Guerendo, a 99 or 9.99, you're looking at the best athlete at the running back position. It's a position of need. It fills the Davis's need to go get top flight athletes. Home run pick for me, and and the Davis family down there for Las Vegas. They're taking a gamble on Guerendo, and boy, are they gonna cash all them chips.
Oh boy. All right. Pick number 14 down in NOLA. They're going to select Malik Neighbors, wide receiver out of LSU, keeping him homegrown.
See, kind of what I wanted to do here because one, uh, their wide receiver room is pretty light to say the least. You've got Chris Olave, but what I wanted to do here was save Malik Neighbors on some moving costs. This one was one that wasn't just for the team, it was more so for the player. LSU product, want to keep that moving costs down. He wants to move that whole dorm room into a nice townhouse. So I want to keep moving costs down. So big looking out for you, Malik Neighbors, and the short commute to your new home in New Orleans.
All right, pick number 15. The Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. They couldn't get Marvin Harrison Jr., so they're going after another legend, son. Give me Brendan Rice, wide receiver out of USC.
Yep, that's the big reason why I went with this pick. They were really jonesing to get Marvin Harrison Jr., but they're like, all right, let's go get the best wide receiver of all time, son, and just replicate that success here in Indianapolis. That was my reasoning. They tried to move up the board, but the thing that doesn't happen in these mock drafts is I don't make trades. So they couldn't move up to number 4 to make that pick. So they take the next Hall of Famer's son that they can in Brendan Rice.
It's fair. All right. Pick number 16. Your Seattle Seahawks are gonna select Peyton Wilson, linebacker out of North Carolina State.
This is a throwback to all those head scratching picks that the Seahawks used to make. And now that you've got Pete Carroll out of there, you don't know what John Schneider is going to do. I harken back to the Bruce Irvin pick, where he was looked at as best case of mid-second rounder, and he was taken right in the middle of the first round. I I do not think a linebacker will be taken in the first round. So I said, you know what? I think the Seahawks will do in this case, take a linebacker in the first round. And I like Peyton Wilson's tape either way. They're probably going to look a little bit more towards a little Michigan flavor with Mike McDonald's previous tenure there. But Peyton Wilson, I like him. And it's from one of those schools because when Bruce came out, it was like, oh, linebacker slash edge from West Virginia. Now you get to go to NC State. What's up?
All right, pick number 17. The Jacksonville Jaguars are gonna select Latu edge out of UCLA.
I didn't really have a good reason for this one. It's tough.
It's a good pick either way, honestly.
I mean, it is a good pick, and it was a position of need. I wanted to go back to when they had like John Henderson and like the most fearsome interior defensive tackles. But then I was like, you know what? Let's pair up another athletic edge with Trayvon Walker over there and just two guys that profile as linebackers, a little bit undersized, but are pretty athletic and have a knack for getting the quarterback. So that's why I went with Latu.
Alrighty. Pick number 18. The Cincinnati Bengals select Tylese Fuaga, tackle out of Oregon State.
This is a double dip. One, they needed a right tackle, and two, they've had some success going to Oregon State. I don't know if you've heard of Chad Ochocinco Johnson and TJ Hushmanzada, both Oregon State guys. And harkening back, I love a good color scheme where those guys don't even have to change it up. Oregon State, orange and black, Bengals, orange and black. Match made in heaven right here. Match made in heaven. You're welcome, Bengals fans. I'm here for you.
All right, pick number 19. The Los Angeles Rams select Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo.
See, this is a guy that I think is going to be the first cornerback that's actually taken off the board. And they did make this move with what seems like their last first round pick in Jalen Ramsey before they've thrown them all away. As Les Snead has said, F them picks. We don't need the first rounders. But if they're going to make a first rounder, go. Oh, no, they didn't even take Jalen Ramsey. They traded a bunch of picks for Jalen Ramsey. So don't trade your picks. Just go get the next Jalen Ramsey.
Fair enough. All right. Pick number 20. Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock, and they're going to take Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa.
This is another position of need type thing for them. With DeJean, I think that he gives you a lot of versatility where he can play corner, slot, and safety. And right back to the color scheme, baby. Black.
I see a trend coming here.
There's lots of trends that are happening here. And the trend depends on the pick because it's whatever trend I made up in my mind when I threw this bad boy together. So, but I do like the fit here. And if this was actually the Steelers' choice, I think that it would be a fun pick for them.
Pick number 21, the Miami Dolphins. Oh boy. They select Rook or Rohoro.
Yep.
D tackle out of Clemson.
Correct. They do select Rook or Horo out of Clemson. They just lost Christian Wilkins, dipping into the old well. Clemson defensive lineman. You lose one Clemson defensive lineman, you bring another one in.
They also have an orange jersey.
Yeah. Well, this one wasn't for this one. Get out of here. This wasn't a trend. This one was no color scheme involved. This one was straight trend of going and saying, Dabo, I need another guy. We lost the white Power Ranger and Christian Wilkins, and we need a new Power Ranger. Who do you got? And he goes, well, A boy Rook's ready to go to the league. Draft him in the first, and you will not be mad.
Oh
So guess
gosh.
what? As Scott would say, Egbert is not mad with getting Rook.
All right. Pick number 22, the Philadelphia Eagles select Lad McConkey, wide receiver out of Georgia.
This is another going back to the well. I feel like the Eagles are trying to make an NFL team as mostly constructed as possible of players from Georgia, right? Your two starting D tackles, Georgia, Keely Ringo, Georgia, linebacker, Georgia.
Yeah, they
So
littered with Georgia. Uh, they had a running back from Georgia too at one point. It's crazy.
Swift,
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift. So you lose a Georgia player, we'll bring one right back in for you. And this time we'll get you that true number 3 wide receiver. Plus, I think this would actually be a fun pick if they were to move down a little bit. This could be a bang up player. I think that he's worst case middle of the second round type talent.
All right, pick number 23. The Minnesota Vikings are on the clock again. Going back to the well, they are going to take Brian Thompson Jr., wide receiver out of LSU.
Yep. And I said with first pick and Jaden Daniels, I wanted to get somebody that had a little Dante Culpepper in him. Dante Culpepper was pretty darn good with Randy Moss. So I'm gonna to quote one of my favorite bands, not out of Minnesota, but out of ATL, Outcast. Glitter, glisten, Klaus, Klaus, I get to be running like Randy Moss. Boom. Here's your next Randy Moss to partner with your Dante Culpepper. They already have a connection built. They've already played together. This is too easy of a pick. And
And
now I'll
Justin
come back.
Jefferson is also an LSU guy too.
Boom. Color scheme. Back to the color scheme. No changing.
All
No changing.
right, all right, all right. Pick number 24. The Dallas Cowboys select Jonathan Brooks, running back out of Texas.
What I really wanted to do here was like get back to the 90s. And because I feel that's where Jerry Jones is living. And I was looking for a draftable Nebraska player. Couldn't find one because that's about the last time that Nebraska was relevant. So I said, hey, Jonathan Brooks, we're saving you money on moving costs as well. You're staying in state, big guy, at a position of
Oh
need. And
man.
this is a team in the past that has overdrafted a running back in Ezekiel Elliott when they drafted him in the top 10. So go ahead and get me top running back available in this class. In some people's eyes, a lot of variation when it comes to this year's running back class, but I wanted to save the kid a little bit of moving expenses.
All right. Pick number 25. The Green Bay Packers select Olumia Fashanu, tackle out of Penn State.
This one was super easy for me. You had David Bakhtiari retire, so you have a hole at your tackle position. And before Bakhtiari got good, you didn't know how to read that guy's name. There's like an H thrown in there at a weird place. I don't know how to say this guy's name either. So I go, starting caliber tackle, whose name I'm not sure how to pronounce. Perfect. Fills multiple voids for him.
Perfect. All right. Pick number 26 down in Tampa Bay. They are also going to stick to kind of a trend of drafting Washington players. They are going to select Braylon Trice, edge, out of Washington.
Yep, and that was the reason when you look at this team, they're even getting guys on their second deals to that out of Washington. So you on this team right now, you've got Joe Tryon, you've got Kate Otten, you've got Vita Vea on this team, and they went and signed Greg Gaines last year and then re-signed him again this year. They love the purple and gold, those little pirates down on the exact opposite side of the country as the University of Washington. Go back to that hole just one more time and go get my boy Braylon Trice.
Like it. All right, pick number 27. The Arizona Cardinals are on the clock, and they're going to form a little brotherly rivalry by selecting Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver out of Rice.
Not the reason I made this pick at all. Um, their wide receiver room is really bad. And they went and got Marvin Harrison Jr. And now they're getting the son of Super Bowl winning wide receiver Ed McCaffrey. That's where I went. The Cardinals in this one are going all legacy picks. If we had the full 7 rounds, I was gonna find Frank Gore Jr. was gonna make it on this team. I almost went with that pick here, but I said, you know what? I think wide receivers a little bit more of a glaring hole on this team. So I'm going to double down. I'm taking 2 wide receivers, both whose dads have played and won Super Bowls, trying to bring that super mentality to the Cardinals.
All right, pick number 28 is going to be from the Buffalo Bills, and they will select Xavier Legette, wide receiver out of South Carolina.
News breaking today that Stephon Diggs is getting traded to the Houston Texans for a second-round pick. So when you look at Stephon Diggs, this was a guy that was drafted, I believe, in the first or second round, and he came out of Maryland, which has put some guys in the league, but not consistently. That's how I feel about South Carolina. So I went and got a guy that's got that first to second round grade and filling a huge position of need because I read some stat today on X that had stated there were like 8 wide receivers that had caught a ball last year for the Bills, and their top 5 are no longer on this team. So they have got some holes to fill. I actually expect them to try and couple that second round pick to move up this board into the middle of the first round, maybe even high mid, get into the early teens to go make a play for a wide receiver before the run really starts going. So go ahead and give me a guy out of a college that has produced NFL talent, but not on a consistent basis.
Hey, pick number 29. The Detroit Dannies select Cade Stover, tight end out of Ohio State.
Sam Laporta was an Iowa tight end, so a Big Ten tight end. I'm going back to that, going to another Big Ten school. But I think that some people might forget that old Dan Campbell, former NFL tight end, former tight end coach. If this is another one where if we had a full 7 round, I was going to draft tight end at every pick. Tight end for every pick from a boy Dan Campbell. I know how much he loves them, so I was trying to give him more and more and more and more tight ends.
Good old Dan Campbell. All right, pick number 30. Baltimore Ravens are on the clock, and they're going to take Mike Surinstil, quarterback out of Michigan.
Mikey Sanders still here. This one is where John called up his brother Jim and said, I need a corner. So this one was a little bit more of some inside information. He didn't turn on any tape at all. They haven't even watched an ounce of tape. They just asked, hey, that Michigan defense was pretty good. I know a guy who was around that team. They even called up Mike McDonald too, because he was the DC there. All inside information. The Ravens department is doing something crazy this year, not watching film, just going on hearsay from family and former coaches. So that's why they went to the Michigan well for Mikey Sanders still here. And I think this is the exact pick that we picked for him last time.
Think so. All right, pick number 31. San Francisco 49ers select Tyler Guyton, tackle out of Oklahoma.
Easy pick. When you have a starting left tackle in Trent Williams, who's getting close to retiring, that went, oh, shoot, I totally screwed this one up. Trent Williams didn't go to Oklahoma State. I was thinking of Russell Okung. Dang it. I was going to say, you go from Oklahoma State and then you go to Oklahoma. I don't remember where Trent Williams went to college. So guess what? You get Tyler Guyton now. No other reasons needed.
Pick number 32. Your Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, are going to take Jawan Briggs, defensive tackle out of Cincinnati.
This one is for my boy Travis Kelsey, because last year he wanted to try and give Taylor Swift a friendship bracelet, and now they were dating. Now he said, "Hey, there's not enough guys from Cincinnati on this team where I went to college. Let's draft one." So they go, "You know what? We are going to draft one in the first round for you because Travis Kelsey gets what he wants.
That's true.
He's back-to-back Super Bowls. He's dating the biggest superstar in the world right now, and now he's making football decisions based on what he wants and what he feels at the time.
Uh,
There's no statistical reason. I don't know anything about Jawan Briggs, but all I know is that Travis Kelsey wants another Bearcat on this team with him.
I like it. And that is your NFL mock draft number or Wacky Wednesday edition.
Yeah, that one got a little wacky, didn't it?
Sure did.
I told you it would. So, with that being said, this was a fun and interesting style mock draft because we wanted to make sure that we had a little bit of fun, especially with the Mariners' lackluster offensive performance that they've been putting out the last couple of days. A few other things coming through where we're getting really close to the NFL draft, just a handful of weeks away. So, what I wanted to do here was really go ahead and have a little fun with it because tried to do it for years, but I've never really done a fun one. Always wanted to keep it serious, but wanted to pepper in a little bit of fun.
Perfect. Your camera was frozen that entire
Yeah,
time
I was
almost.
messing with some stuff in the background that slowed that down. It'll probably end up fine on the recording that gets put on YouTube.
Oh, all right. Oh,
Well, and
geez.
if it didn't turn out okay, well, why don't you tell us about it by reaching out to us on social media? You can find me, your boy, Coach Red, on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also, find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
You can find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, on YouTube at Kane06, TikTok Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follows. Do freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.